Yo, what's good, y'all? Welcome to the John Cat Show, episode 39. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a minute. I'm back. I'm gonna call this season 3, the little platform thingy that I use to upload these, organizes by season. So we're coming in season 3 fresh. Hope everybody's having a great week. Hope everybody is feeling good mentally, physically. I'm feeling pretty good physically anyway. No, I'm gonna get into that in another show. I'm gonna do a whole nother show on like health stuff and addiction and all that type of stuff. I don't want to jump the gun. Sometimes I do something for like 5 minutes, I become the expert on it. So I'm gonna let that marinate a little bit. Like I'm gonna gauge the full experience before I do the full rant on all that stuff. So that's upcoming. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, and this is stuff I touched on before, perhaps this is a different perspective than I've offered in the past, but, you know, as far as human behavior is concerned, and as far as how that relates to society and interpersonal relationships and so forth. I mean, look, if there is something that I feel I've spent a good deal of my life thinking about and analyzing and, you know, studying in my own way, it would be that type of thing, you know. So if there's any area where I can maybe offer insight or even and listen, again, I don't take my own advice. So like a lot of people, you know, I think maybe the best advice givers are sometimes the ones who have fucked up the worst, which is why they're in a position where they can say that a thing is a certain way because they've personally experienced it. But no, honestly, listen, like I'm not trying to sound like some, you know, cocky asshole or something. Believe me, I'm the first one to acknowledge the areas where I'm lacking. But yeah, when it comes to like analyzing human behavior, kind of understanding what makes people tick and emotions and those kind of things, I feel like I see it more. I trust my brain with those things more than I trust anyone else's. But look, when it comes to ourselves, when it comes to myself, if you're talking about a situation that you were personally, emotionally invested in, all bets are off. I've learned not to trust myself in those cases. I don't care how emotionally intelligent you are. You're not going to remain fully objective when your own emotions are involved, when your life is involved. That stuff really is blinding. It blinds us to the things that we know to be true, just about humans and about ourselves, or you know, more often even perhaps it kind of makes us in denial about those things because the emotions we feel override, and we don't want to recognize it. Either way. Can't be trusted in those cases necessarily, but like, you know, if you made me, I always say, like, if I was on a jury or something, I would just be studying the defendant the whole time as much as the evidence. I'd probably not be a good juror. I always say, like, I'd rather than be on a jury and sit through a trial, give me a couple hours alone in a room with the guy. Like, do you want to know if he killed her? Like, I just need to talk to him. I just got to look him in the eye and have a real conversation with this dude. And I'll be able to tell you with 99%, I feel, efficiency, whether or not the man's guilty or not. But yeah, like here's the thing I was thinking about the other day when it comes to human interaction and interpersonal really. Because look, people in my life, you know, will come to me for forever, and also I have my own personal shit that I deal with, obviously, and just stuff that I see in general or online or in society as a whole. Here's the thing. The vast majority of what upsets people is based around or related to other people's behavior and actions. Period. Now, I always say when people are really mad or they're really angry, they're really mad at themselves. And that's true. And the deep stuff especially, and the regret and all that. But these two things are not mutually exclusive. They're not antithetical. And it still relates to, even when we're mad at ourselves, it still relates to other people's behavior. And you'd be hard pressed to find an example where that doesn't apply. But you got to think about how bizarre that really is. You know, we're so busy dealing with our own. It's like the daily interaction stuff. The shit that upsets people. It's always what someone did or what they didn't do or what they said or how they react. And then it's how I reacted. It's this never-ending cycle, but it's always based around what someone did, said, didn't do, or didn't say, or how I reacted to this thing that they did or didn't do or say. And people spend a lot of time and energy focused on that stuff and thinking about those things, like way more than they would care to admit. And a lot of people are a lot more bothered by it than they care to admit. A lot of them admit it freely, and they tell you how bothered they are all the time. But listen, here's what I tell people or advise people. It's like, look at yourself. Look at your own brain. Think about how fucked up you are. I don't mean that in a bad way. Just think about how fucking hard it is to manage that and to be like a functioning member of society and to maintain and battle all this weird stuff. Now just think about all that, the stuff you never share with people, the stuff you just deal with on a deep down level. And, you know, it's the human experience. Look, everyone goes through that to different degrees, but just think about that and then apply that to those other people. And then even more specifically, if there are specific people in your life who are upset, like look at them. Do they seem like happy, well-adjusted people that probably have an easy time dealing with life? So you got to think about, they're dealing with that all day. That's going to manifest in so many ways. And for you to spend your time trying to figure out why someone else is behaving the way they are or acting the way they are, as if we don't already have a difficult enough time managing our own crazy brains. And you're going to get frustrated that you can't apply like sensical reasoning to why because they're not doing exactly how you would have done it, or they're not saying how you would have said it, or you can't understand where they're coming. Fuck it. They have a million reasons that they're never going to express or share or anything else that they're either aware of or unaware of. It doesn't even matter. They're doing the same shit you are trying to survive, and it may be, if they're really acting difficultly toward you or really mistreating you, they're probably trying even a lot harder to survive than you would. Like, but your interaction's such a small percentage of your life, you know what I mean? And then the time that you spend focusing on those interactions is way out of proportion. So like, again, you got to manage and deal with yourself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People aren't even, by the way, thinking about you any more than you're thinking about them usually anyway. And if they are, then they got a problem and they should be applying the same type of advice. Like, people really do sit there ruminating all day. Why'd they do this? Why'd they say that? Look at all the crazy, weird, nonsensical shit you did that you probably know deep down why you did it. Or maybe you don't even. It's like it's hard enough to even understand why we personally do some of the things we do, much less understand someone else. But think about all that stuff and then go, they could have a million reasons. And see, that's the thing. People's idiosyncrasies, for lack of a better word, you know, that stuff's not universal, and you're not going to understand stuff that doesn't align with you. Like, I have a lot of my own weird shit, right? And so I do a lot of things that the average person that doesn't know me that well enough, or even a lot of people that do know me pretty well, would be perplexed. And, you know, I try not to impose it on other people. I try to just kind of let people do their thing, and then I do my thing because I know how messed up some of my stuff are. But then I'll see somebody else do something that makes no sense to me at all, and it starts to frustrate me. And I'm like, why are they doing it this way? It makes no sense. But then I remind myself, I go, you know what? I do shit that would make no sense to other people. And sure, if I pin this person down and interrogated them for 3 hours about their issues, I could maybe get to the bottom of why they're doing it. But it doesn't matter. Is it really affecting my life? You know what I mean? Is it really having any sort of adverse impact on me going about? So like, let them have it. Let them have it. Let people just kind of be a little weird and crazy, and everybody's dealing with some shit that you'll never understand, and you don't have to understand it. You don't want to put meaning where it doesn't belong. You don't want to take stuff personally that's not personally intended for you. People do a lot of weird shit just to kind of survive and get through the day. And then other people in their lives start, like, they'll take it personally and go, oh, you did this. It's like, dude, person wasn't thinking about you. It's not about you. Not about you. That person's so caught up. Now, as you being a person on the other end of that, we are all way too caught up in our own shit. So that's the part. See, the only effort you can make, you shouldn't be making effort to change other people and have them explain this. You should do it with yourself, and you should certainly be very self-aware of your own shit so that you don't find yourself making other people uncomfortable and imposing it on other people. Because your loved ones will accommodate your weirdness, and that's okay. And look, a lot of stuff is harmless. A lot of people just have different sets of weird issues. There's a very wide array of how people mold their lives around their own, mental hurdles and stuff and people's loved ones naturally are going to accommodate a lot. But if if you're somebody who's imposing it on other people, if you're constantly upsetting other people, if you're disruptive, if you're insulting, those are the kind of, there's things people can work on. I always say you got to be yourself, but there's still things you can work on. You can still be an authentic person and also be, access the kind parts of yourself more than you're accessing the shit. And I know better than anybody. Listen, I could be the grumpiest fucking person ever, but I do try not to jab people with it too much, Listen, nobody is one thing at all. I mean, unless you're just a real psychopath or something or whatever, you lack actual emotion. Nobody's one thing. Everybody's got the good stuff in them. And to some degree, people have a lot of weird, messy life. I say it all the time. Life is messy, and it's messy because people are messy and our brains, and, we make it that way. The best things in life bring about some of the hardest things in life. And that's just the way it is. It really is the human experience. Like, imagine if everybody was just kind and honest and noble and caring just 100% of the time. Like, you think about how preposterous that sounds, because it's not possible. Like, you're lucky if you get it in bursts. You can't be selfless all the time. Like I said, you got to live with yourself and satisfy all this just to survive. It's your basic survival mechanisms, your most basic biological needs and desires and instincts are going to override. Just nobody could just be selfless. It's impossible. And if you are, like, you could be too, you got to look out for you. You got to be selfish so that you can, put yourself in a position where you're at least even useful to people as well. You know what I mean? You can't just be, a doormat in life. That's for sure. There's certain aspects of this stuff that people can work on. One, I say it all the time. You can lower your expectations. As soon as you stop expecting other people to behave in a certain way, like I was saying before, like the idea that you think you could control or manifest someone else's behavior, and in fact, you often will get the opposite result when you try to do that stuff. But yeah, lower your expectations and just understand people are going to do all types of weird, inexplicable shit. You're gonna have people in your life that do and think and feel a certain way, and then they do other stuff, and you go, what the fuck? Like, it makes no sense to you, because in your mind, if you were thinking about, like, so what? You're going to sit there and obsess over that? Like, people sit there and obsess over other people's behavior all the time. You can make a concerted effort to do a hell of a lot less of that. That's for sure. Again, because the idea, it's not about you. Their behavior is not about you. You are about you. Your behavior is about you. Control what you can control. As I was watching that clip, Conor McGregor, I don't know, years ago, he's like, I don't know his exact words. He said, He's like, all due respect to everybody, fuck everybody. I would do it in his accent, but I can't do Irish. No, I'm not even going to try. I was saying the other day I was going to transition to a British, I said a Tom Hardy accent, so I could just go around telling people to fuck off. Listen, I want to tell people to fuck off all the time. It feels good sometimes to be just a grumpy prick, when you're when you're British, it's like a lot easier. It's like it doesn't come off as vitriolic. You'd be like, oh, mate, fuck off, you fucking cunt, Sorry, I'm going to edit that out. That's a word. That's what I'm saying. In UK, you can get away with saying that kind of stuff, and it doesn't have the same connotations to it. It's the accent. Just be like, oh, you fucking wanker. I used to be able to do a much better British accent. You can't be all, you can't be like, oh, cheerio. Mate, you gotta be casual with it. There we go. You gotta just like Tom Hardy, mate. You'll be like, oh, I went to me mate's flat and we watched the telly and had some tea. You go, I'm gonna just do, what if I did the rest of the show talking like this? I could just be like, oi, you fucking wanker, you fucked the right to fuck off, mate. I was posting, I shared a clip of a UFC dude, Paddy the Baddy. He's won this fight the other night. He's from, I think, like Liverpool. There's different, UK has accents the way we do, like the difference from Texas to New York. Like we don't pick up on it necessarily as US people, but when you hear someone like him, I think his is like a Scouse accent, like they're from like Liverpool. He was talking about how, he'd rather be fat and happy between fights. He's eating his pizza, talking about he'd rather be fat and happy than have a six-pack all year round. But the accent's so cool. He was saying, he's like, I'm not arsed by it. Arsed. They say arsed, A-R-S-E-D, which arse is an ab. But if they say you're not arsed, it means you're not concerned. You're not bothered. They'd be like, oh, I went to the doctor, man. He wasn't arsed about the X-ray. That was not a good accent, but we should be bringing some of that vernacular here. All right, no more accents. But yeah, no, I have the inclination to not be as nice. That's what I'm saying. We're not one thing. So it's like you can choose. That's the part where you can make the effort. That's the part where you're still being authentic. See, this is a discussion I was having online the other day. It's not antithetical, because I say two things, right? I offer what sounds almost like antithetical advice or contradictory advice, which is I'm always saying to be kind and caring and to like meet people on their level, you know what I mean? And to kind of, see, a lot of people just do it naturally. And again, I'm not tooting my own fucking horn here at all, because I suck in a million areas, but I have always just kind of naturally done that. I don't sit there and think, well, let me be kind or whatever. Like, in fact, I am fucking grumpy a lot. And usually when I'm grumpy, I probably don't hide it as well as I should. So I should be taking my own advice here. Because my point, my point being is we all have different parts of ourselves, right? And we can choose and say, hey, I'm going to access this good part right now. And that's not being inauthentic, because you're still being you. And again, unless you're a complete psychopath who doesn't have those parts, then you have those parts. And some people have to work on it more than other people. Maybe some people, it does come a little more naturally. I mentioned this on Twitter the other day. I talk about a lot, authenticity. I was talking about people's facial looks, like that people don't realize that the faces they make them either more likable or unlikable. When they're communicating or even non-communicating, it's all that nonverbal stuff. I was thinking about somebody specifically who's famous, and I was like, he's just such an unlikable person. I was like, it's his face, But in any case, I was talking about, if you can teach a lot of this stuff, or if it's not teachable, and I think a lot of it is, like, somebody actually replied to it, and I thought it was I'm going to read it to you. I thought it was a really well-articulated reply. All right, so yeah, the tweet I had written that he replied to, I said, I don't think people understand how likable or unlikable our faces can make us. Our expressions while communicating, it's everything. It even translates in our voices, which it does. I said, is this a teachable thing, though? This was part of, sometimes people say I should tweet more in threads, because what I do, I kind of like get on a topic, and then like throughout the day or throughout the night, I'll kind of just keep expounding or expanding. Well, I never know if it's expanding or expounding, but I just keep doing that. And then like, it's not probably good because one person's going to read one and then not read the other ones before it and after it. And it's kind of out of context. But in any case, Mr. Andante here replied, he said, yes, it can be coached and it doesn't have to lead to inauthenticity. Some of us introverts needed to develop skills to use our faces and voices in ways that more effectively signal the passion and enthusiasm we genuinely feel. That's really well said. It's exactly what I'm talking about here. Some of us introverts needed to develop skills to use our faces and voices in ways that more effectively signal the passion and enthusiasm we genuinely feel. See, that's what he's saying. That a lot of people, again, unless you're a psychopath, you genuinely do feel those good things, passion, enthusiasm, kindness. You just may not be knowing how to art, or you're so caught up in the shit that you're ruminating about and all the bad stuff and all the negative stuff. And you just kind of do have to train your mind to access some of those more positive things. It's still coming from an authentic place. You're just choosing to access your better parts and apply them to different situations. Again, assuming you have, look, if you're just a grumpy, miserable fuck, I listen. If you're truly grumpy or if something's really messed up I would choose, if I had to choose, I'll take an authentic grump over a fake nice person. I'm not saying to be fake and fake it. If you don't have that anywhere in you, or if you really dislike, don't be fake. Maybe be cordial. Just, access your authentic good stuff more often. I think kindness, is such a simple word, but I think kindness, maybe a little empathy sprinkled in there, but being kind kind of really does reconcile all that stuff and bring it together. You know what I mean? Like, sure, not everyone's naturally caring and empathetic and kind or has, but here's what I'll say, actually, that we can really learn. This is something that we can actually truly learn and condition and improve upon. Is that it's actually, I was pointing out a second ago, kind of, which is a lot of kind, sensitive people really are so caught up in their own problems and worries and stuff. And it's like, by the way, it's not even a selfless thing to do to be like, hey, I'm going to think about myself less. It's pretty selfish because it's good for you. Like, it makes you feel, listen, you want to treat yourself kindly. If you're going to have kindness and caring and empathy for other people, you have to give it to yourself first. If you're not being nice to yourself, you're not going to be able to be nice to anybody else, right? So if you're just sitting there beating yourself over the head with all these bad thoughts and things that you think, are bad about you, or that it's like, or negatives, regret, whatever, stop. Like, the minute you actually get outside of your head and just stop thinking about all your own shit, you'll actually find it is a lot easier to deal with other people's shit, right? You're not already operating at like overflow level where you just can't take on anything. Like, just kind of breathe, relax, look up at the sky, go, hey, you know what? I don't have to, even if this thing is bad, thinking about it is accomplishing nothing, And if there is something that can be done, just go, hey, I'm going to do this thing. That's a good thing. I'm going to fake whatever, and then do it. And don't sit there and think about it. So yeah, a lot of people that you probably don't think are very nice are probably nice somewhere in there. They're just really caught up in their own shit and they don't know how to get out of it. And it manifests itself in a lot of unhealthy ways, whether it's them lashing out at you for stuff or just, behaving in a way that doesn't make people listen. A lot of those people know it and they go home at night and they don't want to feel that way and they don't want to behave that way, and then they get up the next day and they do it anyway because they don't know how to get out of that cycle and break that cycle. You'll find it a lot easier to be caring toward others the minute you do get out of that. Even, you know, you don't, you know, people are very caught up in this all or nothing mentality. It's like, well, if I can't feel this way all the time, then it's like, no, you can do it in bursts. You could do it. The more you make concerted efforts to do this stuff, believe me, it becomes a lot more habit forming, and you respond healthier to a whole lot of things. And then the other thing you really can work, and this goes hand in hand, is, you know, you really do have to be self-aware. Like, get to know yourself and just be like, hey, I have this weird thing where this specific thing does trigger me in a way that it wouldn't most people. And therefore most people aren't going to understand my reactions in these types of situations or my behavior necessarily. They're going to misinterpret. Like, you got to be aware of your own stuff and not be in defensive mode all the time. It really is a concerted effort. And how do we do those things? Like, I mean, for me personally, I talk about appreciation a lot. I talk about, you know, the universe and the world a lot. It's because it offers such a different perspective. It look around the world, look around the universe that we don't understand. Look how insignificant that thing is that you're allowing yourself to obsess about and fuck up with your head all day. Look at it in comparison. So that's like number one, all that appreciation, gratitude just for even being here, and even in comparison to a lot of other people that are here and are dealing with way, way worse stuff. But then just on a personal level, like, you really can, just with little tiny adjustments, like changing physical routines even, and doing, you know, eating differently and little things like that, you'd be amazed. And people, again, people are so all or nothing, and they do it in short bursts and they get impatient or whatever. But like, a month is a really short time. 2 months is a really short time. 3 months is, so like, do something for 2-3 months consistently and see how you feel. And then, you know what I mean? Like change the way you eat for 2 months. Work out all, you know, 4 or 5 days a week for 2-3 months or something. Like, it's such a short period of time. You really, you know, people will be amazed at, they always say act as if. It's like, I've said this before, think of like the healthiest version of who you'd want to be, or the most success. Think of who you'd want to be on your best day, right? And how would they be behaving? What would that person be doing? And then just do those things. Like, again, it's a concerted, you could sit there and go, hey, I'm going to not sit and think about and do this negative thing that I've been doing and it's been bothering. I'm going to just get up and do this other thing because I know it's about it. I'm just going to make myself do it. And then that just becomes part of your routine. It really does. It becomes ingrained in you. Those are the areas that we have complete control over, way more than we like to admit to ourselves. Because, you know, again, life is the most rare, precious thing. Life, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is so quick. 90% of the shit we're obsessing about does not even affect us in the way, you know what I mean? 90% of the stuff that's upsetting people has no effect on their daily lives. And then 90% of the stuff that does, there are things that they could do to remedy it and they choose not to. And then people just end up in this never ending wash, this cycle. And the clock's just ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking. And you gotta be, look, you gotta, again, I'm the worst, all right, at a lot of this stuff. You gotta let your walls down, right? I've been a walls up guy a lot of my life. You can't have your walls up and expect to receive the full experience here. That walls up method doesn't work long term. It'll allow you to function. You may be able to function well. You may be able to function great your entire life as a walls up person. Some of the most successful people that ever lived have been that way and are that way. There is no question about it. In fact, if you're judging success in a certain manner, I would say a lot of them, if not most, have probably been walls up type people, because it is that single-minded focus that allowed them to conquer an industry and what have you. But are they happy people? I don't know. I'm not talking about wealth or anything. I'm just talking about we don't know what life is, okay? We just don't. We've created this society, right? And we place importance on certain things. And obviously, you have to be able to survive. And, it's nice to also have some luck. But we structured it the way we did. But listen, just look at the whole animal kingdom. Everything's already here. The biological needs that people have, right? The connection and, the stuff to look. It's so hard. Whenever I start talking about this stuff, this is why it really is inarticulatable, if that's a word, or ineffable. That's a good word. It's like, it's hard. I start stumbling around words because it's hard. It's more of a thought. It's like when you try to articulate a dream and it's like you realize 90% of the dream was kind of stuff you were feeling, and that's what made it so weird more than just, so I don't know. Listen, just from a personal viewpoint standpoint, that I can't put into words. I'll just say, look, the important stuff in life or if anything comes after this or whatever, it's it seems to be based on connecting with other people or other life and on the type of energy that we give and that we receive and the way that we choose to interact. And the rest of the stuff feels temporary. I don't know. Again, it's hard to put. The rest of the stuff just feels like things we choose to do with our time, whatever time is. And it keeps us going, throughout the day. But you got to figure 99% of human history, people lived and survived without 99.9% of the things that we interact with all day. They just needed food and water, right? And I do believe a lot of those ancient tribes or Native Americans and stuff, look, how could they not have been more in touch with the spiritual world, the nature world, the meaning of all this shit? Like, if you were just, living in a desert, smoking peyote all day without anything to distract you other than other people and nature, you'd probably be a lot more in tune with a lot of that stuff. I don't know. It was going down we'll do a whole episode on that. Maybe I'll figure out a way to better articulate some of it, and we can eat some shrooms together or something. We'll have a good time. But yeah, don't have your wall up. Don't be too worried about experiencing hurt and pain and bad things or whatever. It's like, fuck it. You're gonna experience that stuff regardless. So what's the difference? You'll experience way more good stuff too. Things really are supposed to hurt and be shitty sometimes. That's okay. Like they always say, that's how you grow. That's where you learn. And when you feel shitty stuff, don't let the shitty stuff harden you, Don't let it harden your heart. Don't become a worse version of yourself because of other people upset you or something didn't work out. Just stop it. Take a deep breath, look up at the sky, breathe it in, man. Honestly, like what's really that bad? Just look around the world. Everyone hurts. Everyone dies. Every single human that has ever lived and is alive will die. So like to fear it or to fear certain things or even, like what's the worst thing that can happen is death, right? And everybody dies. So we will all already experience the worst thing possible. And everyone in our lives will experience the worst thing possible. And why do I bring all this out? Like, why do I even rant about it? Because like, I look around, first of all, I look at myself, and like I say, stuff I've dealt with and am dealing with, and I say a lot of these things. It's just like I said, this pod's like my personal therapy session. I say these things to remind myself, and if it helps anyone else, great. And I say a lot of this stuff too because I look around at either people I know or at society or online, and it's just so much vitriol, so much negativity, and I can feel and see these people's energy, and everybody's lashing out at each other, and attack. It's like insulting and attacking, and even recently somebody was telling me like someone that they're very close friends with their whole life had unfriended them on Facebook over some political stuff. And look, everyone here's obviously that's been going on for years, but it's like, what are we doing, man? Like, people are so caught up in the most meaningless bullshit, and then they're actually taking it and they're applying it to their lives, and they're applying it to the like real relationships and things that actually do matter. It's all becoming intertwined and intertangled, and it's gross. And I just wish, I guess, people would be a little bit more aware of themselves and aware of this phenomenon that's happening and make the proper adjustments, because I really am such an optimist, and I guess I just look around frustrated and then I go like, man, we really could live in such a fucking utopia if everybody just kind of adjusted their line of thinking a little bit, left each other alone, accepted each other a little more, and understood. Like, I really do think just adjusting our line of thinking, honest to God, by not that much even, the world could be such a fucking magnificent, and people could be using platforms and social media is such a cesspool. Like, the fact that we can communicate with anybody at any time all over the world, and 90% of it is just like, let's insult each. It's like, for what? And yeah, I make quips and jokes and talk all kinds of shit about, a shitty president or anything else. Most of it's fun and lighthearted, but like, to be honest, I'm not even feeling that anyway. Like, it's all so, it should not be affecting people's daily lives the way it does. And it frustrates me like crazy. So all these rants I give are about, apply it to your personal life, apply it to everything, apply it to your loved ones, apply it to society, apply it to social media, apply it everywhere. Really, like, just sit with yourself sometimes and just be like, what's really bothering me? What do I really want in life? And also, what's really bothering me? And like I said, when it's your own emotions involved, it blinds you sometimes. You sit and think, go, hey, what would I advise somebody else in this situation? Like, when I look at somebody else objectively, what am I thinking about their shit? And then apply it to yourself and just be like, oh, wow. Yeah, the way somebody would see the way I'm sitting here thinking about this thing, like, wow, that, because a lot of times it's probably a little simpler than you think, your problems. If you really sit and think like that, you're going to find that the vast, vast majority of the shit that's bothering you doesn't even matter. And there's nothing you could do about it anyway. And then you'll find that the stuff that is bothering you, that there's little things that you could do that you're probably not doing. And that the answers to it are probably a lot simpler than you think. I'm gonna wrap it up. No list this show. I went long, so I'm not gonna do a list. I will come back next time with a really good top 5 or 10 for you guys next time. And I just hope y'all are feeling good. Hope everybody has a great rest of the week. And I really love and appreciate y'all. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much. Peace.